Hey guys, welcome back to The Letter. It's TJ Gamer Girl signing on. So, last episode, Rebecca and Isabella got into a fight, yet again, and she said some pretty nasty things about Isabella, so I took Bella's side, Bella's side, Bella's side, and we basically told her, no, don't go to the mansion because it's too dangerous. And we're at full relationship with her, so I'm hoping something happens. Galway Shaw's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight. With the lively music and chatter, slipping out mostly unseen becomes a piece of cake. Without much trouble, soon enough I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxburn night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of an impending rain. I give it about an hour or two before it starts. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging its thick material closer to my body while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay no mind as I hurry towards my car. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous as it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either, but I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by the rule Z-Man said, but when have I ever? Regardless of how generous that is, each second is just as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca turns just as I near, corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with all the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky when I come to stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, weary, thick with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away while she hugs her arms closer to keep herself warm. Which raises the question, why she's out here? The air's already heavy with the promise of rain. With clouds obscuring the view, there's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands there as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That, or she's here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting me off at the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you, wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight. I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice, even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try. But, you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us. And it made me realize plenty of things. About myself. About us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly, a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. Every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by a memory. A silly story, or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who will much rather forget, she remembers them, each of them, so easily. After a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time, back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
She makes it sound like I'm some sort of a hero. Mandy was in the wrong, of course, I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are, it would have escalated and who knows, maybe we would have stopped going to school or transferred. Or maybe she, actually. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is right. I know what I'm doing is what's right. Okay. Simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that. Fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens. Ash, I've always been in love with you.
She says it so plainly, holding my gaze in a voice too frank, that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she's kept to herself all these years. This is what the fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary, since I made that promise to never leave, I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there's relief, a weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders as after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back at me, though, there's nothing but hope in them, eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself scrambling for the words. Because as much as it pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad that she's stuck with me even through the toughest moments. Even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca, I
draw a breath, ragged, unsure. Uncertain how and which words to put together so it will hurt her less. So the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or a scar. Though before I can even string the two phrases together, she lifts my hand to my mouth and silences me. A smile's on her face, kinder than every single one I've seen from her so far. It's nice to see it on her. Suits her more than the glares or the frowns. But at the same time, it only serves to baffle me.
You don't have to answer me.
Yeah, but you should... I should...
No, I mean, you don't need to.
Okay, now I'm really confused. One moment you're saying you've been in love with me since secondary, now you're telling me to shut up?
If you want to interpret it like that, all right.
No, really. Some explanation would be nice, Becca. Because a lot of things are going on right now, and I'm afraid I can't catch up. Especially with this curveball you just threw.
It means what it means, Ashton. You don't need to answer me. I don't really need to hear it anymore. It's not that I don't want to. Believe me, if I were the same person I was before this whole thing happened to us, I'd be elated, excited even. But like I said, I also realized some things. Understood myself more. Ash, I did love you. Ever since we were kids, all those times you defended me from bullies. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, even after this. But at the end of the day, once you take a closer look at everything, it also turned me into a really selfish person. When you think about it, maybe the Ashton I loved isn't the one standing in front of me right now. Maybe all this time, I'm still clinging on to that aloof kid I met 17 years ago. I didn't even consider that you have a mind of your own. That one day, it won't just be the two of us. That you'll find someone else and it won't be me.
I'm sorry, Becca.
I'm not even sure what I'm apologizing for. That I can't return her feelings? Or because I'm somehow holding myself responsible for this, even if up until now I have no idea how she felt. Regardless, she continues to smile through all of it.
It's not your fault. Don't say that. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know, so I can finally let this whole thing go. One question though. Are you going to tell her?
Tell what to who?
I pause. Don't play dumb, okay? Even she knows. I pause, frowning. A brief moment of doubt while I try to figure out what she's talking about all of a sudden. When it finally sinks in, though, my bewilderment hastily gives way to utter embarrassment.
Oh, shit.
Heat abruptly crawls up my face, no matter my efforts to keep it down. In the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what she'll see in it.
Did you really think no one would notice?
Was it that obvious?
It was surprisingly easy to tell, but that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone.
Fuck, who else knows?
I think Zach suspects.
Shit.
You're embarrassingly lame when you're trying too hard. It's almost painful to watch. Don't worry. With your terrible way of flirting and knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle has no idea, even now. Not even a clue.
Harsh, Rebecca. Really harsh. I could use a vote of confidence, you know.
She laughs, loud. That's the kind that's free of any burden, reading above the wind slowly picking up as the storm clouds approach. With it, however, the awkward atmosphere lifts at last. There's only that camaraderie we've shared since meeting in that classroom 17 years ago.
I'm serious, though. Tell her. And if you ever make her cry, I'll hit you with every damn history book I have on my shelf. Clear?
Noted, ma'am.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, all right?
I'll certainly try, but no promises. She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push with a force only heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unawares by the gesture, for a few moments, I fight for purchase against my car's trunk, bracing my hand on its smooth surface. When I look up, with a string of reprimands ready at the tip of my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. There's a small skip in her step while the breeze carries the light tune she's whistling. On a whim, I let its notes be the last thing I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. Sounds like a new beginning, more than anything. Another reason to be optimistic. Within 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxborn and heading straight for Ansem Village. In the distance, flashes of light up on the horizon, white and sharp against the black curtain of the night. Thunder threatens with a rumble seconds later, echoing across the sky. And with one last roar, the skies open in earnest. November 1st, Tuesday. Ooh boy. The rain falls in fast, steady sheets, creating shallow puddles on the dirt path. And I just spat on the desk. Good job. Drenching everything the eyes can reach. Despite having grown up in the city, I still despise the rain. Living here doesn't mean I have to like it. Lucky me, I've reached the mansion before the downpour has turned torrential. The long slog from Anselm by foot has already been made difficult by the light drizzle and biting winds buffeting against my body every few seconds. By the time I found cover under the trees lining the vicinity of the mansion, my shoulders are already drenched. My hair is also sticking against my skin out in every possible direction. Thankfully, the letter, taser, and gun I've brought with me has remained relatively dry. That's the important thing. However, those are the least of my problems at the moment. Sometime after the housewarming party, Scumbag, right, has suddenly grown a brain and tightened the security around the mansion. A guard is now stationed at every possible point of entry. The main entryway, the back door leading to the kitchens. Hell, it's almost a miracle no one has spotted me once I entered the property. Though that's probably because I've kept close to the forest. While I can always create a clever way in for myself under this deluge, it'll be difficult to do so without making much noise or leaving tracks.
I don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Considering how off this place feels since I've stepped in the property and the mansion came into view, every light is off. Even with the security personnel on patrol outside the whole house itself, it feels empty. Eerie. Eerie. Too quiet. Normally I'll pass it off as some kind of power outage because of the storm. It's not a far-off conclusion when this place is almost in the middle of nowhere. However, something just feels wrong.
Something happened here.
Or about to. It's the sole reason why I haven't done anything yet. Simply observing, watching, listening, for anything. I might be pressed for time, but I'm not a careless idiot. Although I need a way in, desperately so. Moving without thinking will not only endanger me. With so many unknown variables and what we're dealing with, I also have to act on the assumption that someone is always in danger, especially in this place. I can't act impulsively. As much as I hate Wright, I'm not about to cause his death because of one thoughtless action. If there's a place he deserves to be at, it's a prison, not a morgue. So, when a hoarse, painful sob suddenly rings out above the loud pitter-patter of rain, only then do I stir. A woman. Perhaps a servant? Or worse, Hannah Wright. It's coming from the forest? Just right ahead. Just right up ahead, in fact. Not too far from the house. Regardless, I give the place a quick, wary glance before following the noise. Carefully, keeping to the shadows, one cautious step after another. Louder and louder it goes as I near. Until it abruptly turns into a loud, desperate, anguished cry. I break into a run. One nervous hand ready on the gun holstered at my hip, and the other raised for balance as I scurry across the dense understory. Dead leaves crunch under my shoes, but I paid no mind. There's only the voice, the woman, and nothing. Abruptly, it all stops, and I'm met with a sudden hush. Blank. Empty. Almost deafening in its stillness. Even with my labored breathing and pounding heartbeats against my ears. Behind me, another branch breaks, and
Help me.
Dread surges within me while I spin around and take a hard step back, ignoring the chilly pinpricks crawling at the back of my neck. Before I can even meet her eyes, the world unexpectedly pitches sideways, tilting till the ground beneath me finally crumbles. My hands fight for purchase, only to meet air. By then it's too late. My foot slips and the rest of my body follows. Dark spots blur the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes for laughter. But more than that are the voices, lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride. Over. It's because you didn't listen. And over. It's all your fault. And over again. Why won't you believe me? A reminder of what I failed to do and of who I failed. What I'm desperately trying to fix. A scream threatens to burst while my throat closes off. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away the sensation in me apart from one. There's only fear. Once again, her laugh echoes, a sound of both bitter and unforgiving. It's the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Half darkness greets me when my eyes finally snap open, the soft patter of dripping water somewhere spurring my consciousness further. We're in the dungeons, apparently. She dragged us to the freaking dungeons. Hey, Marianne, you here? For a few short moments, I remain still, blinking away the dizziness, allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and my breathing to even out first, before pushing myself up on one arm in an attempt to stand. Turning alone is a struggle on its own. An inch of movement sends a stab of sharp pain right up my arms and my back, giving me another pause.
Shit. I hope I didn't break anything. Fuck.
There doesn't seem to be any injury or major fracture, although the whole of my back does feel sore and raw. Probably from when I've skidded down prior to landing myself here. A comforting thought. The second attempt comes easier later, though no less painful. And by the time I'm back on my feet, the exertion has left me gasping in short, shallow breaths, and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Behind me, a light draft blows in where I've fallen in. Coming in short, sharp bursts, what's apparently an underground tunnel, and brings in the fresh, earthy smell of rain from the topside. Regardless, it fails to mask the old, musty scent of the place. Mixture of mold, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctly foul. Like death. More worrisome than the putrid festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under a dim light, I can barely make out what's inside some of them. I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment. Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of this place isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Probably not, unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably balk at this, move out at the first opportunity, and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me reel as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This, though? This is just the tip of the iceberg. I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself and the tale behind that fucking ladder. But fear's inconsequential. As unpleasant as the sight of this is, this place might also be the only way for me to get inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. Not 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly rises above my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel before fading away just as swiftly as the rain. I pause, nevertheless, straining my ears for more of it, while I gradually move my hand to my side, slow and steady until the tips of my fingers brush off the gun's handle. Although cold against my skin, it's the closest thing that I have to comfort at the moment. For a long minute, I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge, and shadow at the corners of my vision for any movement. After a heartbeat of nothing, I allow the tension to ease out of me and form a long, slow exhale that reverberates across the whole passage.
Who's there?
Oh, Marianne, hi! Perhaps it's because of what's happened earlier and how I've ended up here? Or maybe it's because of my training. But in spite of the panic and fear of the voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free of its holster and wordlessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. Afraid. Frantic. Weak?
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
It's only after I've released the safety do I answer, while continuing my approach in a careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that. Who are you? Show yourself.
I can't. I'm stuck in here.
Well, a ghost will definitely not be singing that, or have a conversation like this, or be stuck anywhere. As if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells and ahead and waves. Then she pulls back, grips the iron bars, and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out. Can you help?
5 quick steps, and I'm standing in front of a cell, and sure enough, there's a woman inside. Slumped on the floor, holding the bars while shaking hands, clinging to it as if it's the only thing keeping her upright. Not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
The same one I've met at Geese 5 days ago, smashed drunk and babbling her frustrations about her employers.
Holmes?
No, not McLaughlin. McCulloch. Marianne McCulloch, famous interior designer extraordinaire. Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks trapped in a jail cell of all things. Her breathing's shallow and there's a paleness to her complexion. Sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin, all signs pointing to starvation and dehydration.
What? How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore. I just fell in and that woman... Whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
I fish out an energy bar from my pocket and hand it to her. She's lucky I always have one on my person. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar keeps me going. Like any starving person, she wastes no time making a grab for it, unwrapping it straight away, and taking in a whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more than that if what she said is true. But for the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have the sense to prioritize survival over comfort, if the puddle in the corner of the cell indicates anything. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days. No food, and it'll give it an average 3 weeks, even though then it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. My bobby pins won't be of any use here. Not like I need it. Unless the ones we have at the precinct. A simple barrel hinge holds the gates to the cell together. Even without any special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort of help.
What are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe, anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find something in one of those open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. We can't have another person trapped in here, however McCulloch ended up inside.
Well, there's no...
My head snaps back to her. McCulloch extends a wooden board from under the mess of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose upon closer inspection.
Good enough.
I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door, and applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak. In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually lifts off its hinges. It falls to the ground with a loud, ugly, metallic thud, but the sound of it puts elation on McCulloch's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she's accidentally found herself in. More than happy to get out of it, despite the lack of the strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there. If you didn't show up, today, I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for something. Someone.
A contemplative expression flickers in her eyes, something that's close to wistful, like when a person remembers a memory she's fond of. It doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private. Something deeply personal for her. I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry. And I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans.
What do you mean?
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here. People died in this place. Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
The bloody letter! Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
Mikala, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God. Oh God. Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer.
Mikalo!
Abruptly, she stops, looks back at me with wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times these past few days, from my own friends even, to know that she's seen things. The kind that'll easily make any person go mad. And perhaps we slowly are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't even tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you're not very fond of Luke Wright.
Damn right I'm not. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord. She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't have to go with me. Only tell me enough info so I can figure it out on my own. She can always leave afterwards, be done with this whole damn mansion and the letter. The other end of the tunnel leads right into the forest. It'll provide ample cover for her and to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Then, without another word, she gestures to me to follow, leading me further into the passage. Alright, I'm gonna end the episode here. Shit's already gone nuts. And we'll continue this in the next one. Till then, this is the Gamer Girl, signing off.